I would imagine there's kids out there who have committed suicide that because of him, and parents never knew, family never knew why.
One victim of former Ohio State University Dr. Richard Strauss believes we will never get a full picture of what he did to hundreds of young men, just as Ohio lawmakers get ready to revive a bill that would allow those victims to sue OSU. Good evening, everyone. We thank you for joining us tonight at 6. I'm Colleen Marshall.
I'm Mark Taylor. Ohio House Speaker Larry Householder today called on the Civil Justice Committee to resume hearings on a bill that would clear the way for victims of Dr. Richard Strauss to sue the university.
There have been no hearings on that stalled bill since last September. Householder said in a statement that Ohio State has yet to accept responsibility for the obvious harm that was done to students under their watch. Hundreds of former students filed claims against OSU that the university says are barred by the statute of limitations. One of the victims of Dr. Strauss tells me he also believes it's past time for the university to make things right.
There's nothing more I want to do than not do this. I hate doing this, I really do.
But you're doing it, why?
Because the story needs to be told.
And more than 300 men are telling that story, now suing Ohio State University. Like most of them, Steve Lee thought he was the only victim after going to the student health clinic with symptoms of the flu.
He said he wanted to get an overall picture of my whole body to see what status my physical condition was.
Lee was 19 when he was sent into an exam room with Dr. Richard Strauss. Within minutes, he was groped and molested, the doctor aggressively fondling him. Lee was confused.
I stopped him at that point. I said, "What? I'm not here for any of this. I'm just here because I don't feel good."
But he says Strauss wanted to take pictures of his genitals and insisted he had to resume the genital exam. The doctor never did blood work, didn't listen to his breathing or even take his temperature before telling Steve he had mono. Days later, his family doctor told him that was ridiculous.
He said, "Well, you don't have mono." There's no way he would know that without doing any kind of medical test.
Steve knew he had been violated.
Then to find out that OSU knew what was happening for 20 years and did nothing about it, that's when I really felt violated.
For 37 years, he was a silent victim.
No, I didn't tell anyone at OSU, didn't tell anyone, any of my roommates back then. I've been married to my wife for 30 years. I never told her until a year ago.
Tell me what it felt like that first time you opened your mouth and said to someone, "Let me tell you, I was a sexual abuse victim."
It was a relief. It really was. It was a weight off of my shoulders that I didn't even realize was there.
And Steve says more victims need to share their stories, that OSU has been cloaked in secrecy long enough. He wants the Ohio State University to be leaders in protecting students and caring for victims. He wants OSU to be leaders in the process of repair.
The next time it happens at another university, I would want that university to say, "What did Ohio State do? They've really got control of that situation, and let's follow what they did." No one in leadership currently at Ohio State was there during the Strauss years. In a statement today, a spokesman said Ohio State has led the effort to investigate and expose Richard Strauss's abuse and the university's failure at the time to adequately respond to or prevent it. And we are committed to reaching a monetary resolution as soon as possible, which we are actively pursuing through the mediation process that is underway in federal court. There are 17 lawsuits involving about 350 litigants represented by multiple teams of lawyers. We very much appreciate the active leadership of the mediator, Judge Michael Barrett, and the federal judge presiding over the cases, Judge Michael Watson. We've been digging into the allegations and hearing the powerful stories of some of those victims and asking those who are accused of knowing why they didn't take any action. You can see our complete Culture of Cover-Up coverage at NBC4i.com.